Okay, we are here to do Scorpio's karmic read, and this is for the zodiac sign of a Scorpion, not necessarily if you're a Scorpion, if you have a karmic or an ex or a third party energy. So I've developed these more from a perspective where we all can fall into lower frequency, but for those of us that aren't going through an awakening, that haven't actually looked at the aspects of codependency, maybe have a pain body experience from childhood and have innately created codependent patterns, and have blockages really in a sense that part of their spiritual transformation has been delayed, so to speak. So in July, it is quite heavy astrology, and we're going to be having Neptune retrograde in Pisces, which is hitting their 5th house. We're also having Venus and Gemini in the 8th house. Now, 8th house is connected to shared resources. And it is going to be squaring Neptune on the 27th. So when it comes to shared resources, the potentiality of that energy being there and the delusions directly linking into lack mentality. If that hasn't been there and it's been too at a codependency frequency, I'm already seeing through the cards that this theme is coming up. Saturn also is moving out of Aquarius and back in, which it should have done already, to my belief. But it's moving back from the 4th house where we had a bit of a break, which 4th house is home. And I'm seeing these energies here too. So it is a more pleasant energy, I must say, being positioned in the placement of 4th house. But it might have been really active, very social, or, you know, more, yeah, I'll say social because we've got the nodes in Gemini. So there might have been people moving in, people moving out, a lot of movement happening in that 4th house placement, changes, maybe extensions and things to that degree can come up with the 4th house placement with Aquarius. But maybe not even spending as much time at home at a physical level and looking at maybe where that may be. Because it's moved back into the 3rd house and we do have very active, high energy that can be quite volatile with Mars and Aries. We also have Chiron retrograding in Aries, and it's sort of doing it's like a double-edged sword. Those of us that have the tools will be able to then look at the wounds, really pick into what we need to look at, what we need to let go of, you know, what's like the dire need of looking at. And maybe with the Mars energy, where we're taking our power and moving ourselves forward, I'm seeing the energy to be potentially quite combative, you know, in a verbal throat chakra kind of way, because it is 3rd house of communication and movement. So, you know, real caution for anyone who's cross-watching for driving this month, especially because we do have Mercury retrograde in Cancer, which for Scorpio, it is hitting the 9th house of travel energy. And transport and movement, which is another reason why potentially there could be some movement in home and things happening, which I've pulled cards for that. So I've pulled the crowning energy cards covering the career sector and finances, the people they're mixing with and family, and then the eclipse in Capricorn, the new moon in Cancer, which is a blue moon, and then how they're looking at their energy within the connection, if they're still with it, and I'll tune into that, as well as if it is an ex and how they're looking at TF journey. So this is for those of you that are in one of those very interesting kind of connections. Okay, so looking at the past, I do feel there might have been signs that there may have been some worries and dynamics that they needed to address. Now, some of these may be coming up, old situations playing out due to the fact that we've had Saturn go direct back into Capricorn. Now, it is kind of, again, with Pluto and Jupiter still in retrograde, they are in the house of Capricorn of communication. So although in a sense of where you want to grow, what the abundant energy is, what needs to be left behind, which again is very 8th house placement for Scorpio, because they directly resonate with that frequency of the 8th house, there may be situations coming up that they're really looking at, okay, I really need to have somebody who's working with me. Now, again, as I mentioned, at a spiritual level, when especially when a scorpionic energy hasn't developed those arts, it can be very superstitious. It can be paranoia coming up. It's one of those very interesting, unique energies to be in. I'm Venus in Scorpio, and that development of that energy can be quite unique. It's very Plutonian. Let's see. So it might have been reflecting back, and some of their worst fears are being realised. So it can be something coming back, delayed emotions coming up, especially with Aries and Chiron retrograding. And some of these troubles, it's like they're reflecting back on them, but they're coming back because in their current position, there's a lot of burdens. These burdens may relate to the other placements that I mentioned, which I will directly connect the crowning energies as to why this can be so. What they're moving towards is attempting to kind of turn over a new leaf. Now, I'm also feeling a secondary energy here. So if they are in a karmic partnership still, they may be actually looking at where the 8th house energy is, who would work with them at whatever level they are. Potentially, some of this can be a very egoic state with Chiron and Aries. Where's the Leo placement for these guys? Yeah, career sector. Optimistic energy, but maybe in egoic belief and delayed situations. Almost, it's important to live for today, but it's also important to be accountable for today. And it may have been that some sense of accountability wasn't there due to lockdown energy, but really trying to get the energy and momentum to move forward. And I feel some external scenarios have happened for this to occur. At a monetary level, and this is why I'm saying 8th house, when we're triggered, a lot of times we can overindulge, utilize pacifier energy, drink, eat, etc. And tap into that devil card in the tarot, which the Capricorn energy is coming back and saying, okay, so with the higher frequency, and we do have the devil card here, at the higher frequency, we can be looking at things, looking at our wounds, creating healthy habits, even if it's something we've gone to, and maybe tap into our emotions of why we're feeling these things. This individual has been utilizing money from a pain body experience, and it has been in excess, and it is due to excessive emotion. So the big subject surrounding money has been wastage, and also due to an emotional trigger. I also feel like they do feel in general more is coming, because they have had that luck frequency with the 5th house. I'm also feeling at a balance level with the Libra placement, because we do have Juno in Libra until about October, I believe, which then it will make its next transit, but it is hitting their 12th house of psychology. So in a sense of give and take and balance, Libra for them is really affecting their psychological beliefs. It may be very crown chakra linking in with Neptune. Is this delusional? Also trying to meditate upon how they can transform that luck frequency and where that lies. So it can come across in a psychological way as acknowledging what they're needing and using an art potentially to usher that energy in. Yeah, it's like old patterns coming up, not letting that old pattern die. Very Pluto 8th house energy. More from 8th house placement is sort of learning a karmic lesson. It's getting to a space where you're actually attracting energies at a very reciprocal level where there's give and take, and it's not directly a transaction, but it's an agreement, so to speak. This feels more like a transaction than a direct agreement, and it does have an element of codependency coming through. I don't feel they know they're doing this. I feel spiritually they haven't developed those tools there to be able to know that they can co-create that energy with themselves. And in their career sector, they do have the 7 of Wands in reverse. This can be where they're feeling really threatened, and it may be due to the fact that with the lockdown energy, some may not have been working, some positions may not be as readily available in their mind, and they're really not happy about this. This can also be where they are working, but they're very triggered, so they're unable to give the complete energy to their employment. Again, they're not letting something go, and they're not bringing... It's all these energies in reverse. It's very 8th house placement. It may be where they don't have people to depend on, or they haven't in their life. And it does create a codependent pattern because it's very Pluto energy, but they're not actually learning that karmic lesson. tribe around them at the moment and the people they're mixing with, it is very karmically linked. There is a cycle that's tying up. It is divinely guided. So I do feel they're meeting adversity, and it is coming in forms of their social surroundings. Let me see. Where's 11th house? Virgo. Yeah, the fine detail. It's funny because the Virgo energy in that placement of tribe and socialization. Virgo's very, what would the word be? Analytical. So it's like they're coming to this space not from a perspective, I'll say it again, not from a perspective of give and take, but who's with me, who's against me, but more who is going to serve the purpose. But it's not coming from a heart-centered space. There also can be tribe that are actually talking to them about the P's and Q's of life, and they're not resonating. And again, with the throat chakra, I do feel it can become quite verbal. Yeah, but they're not seeing eye to eye with the way the world is. Family as well is very social. So in this hermit mode energy, again, I do feel a lot of expenses coming through, a lot of money going out the door. Drinking, eating, excess energy going on, but again, very social. I do feel they're still in that frequency. There also could be, you know, it's the way they bring their happiness. So like I said, with Saturn and Aquarius, I feel the home energy was quite active. I do feel that's kind of simmering down now for them. And the reflection is almost like, it's almost like, boof, like a ghost, they're gone. And they're losing faith in themselves. They're not understanding it's linking to the astrology. It's not a personal related dynamic. It will be coming back by 2021, where both Saturn and Jupiter will be in that placement. So it's going to hit their 4th house. 4th house doesn't have to be negative or positive. Aquarius is more wider group energy, you know, the bigger picture of the people you're mixing with. So yes, it's going to be very important that we are connecting in with the correct people in our life, because by the time we reach December, this can be very karmic. Okay, now the Capricorn eclipse for Scorpio. Like I said, it's hitting their 3rd house. This can be a lot of toxicity. It can be utilizing of pacifiers. A lot of triggers can be coming up, but they're not saying why this is happening. That they won't understand why the frequency is coming up. Codependency, addictive tendencies. With the Mars energy as well. Very 8th house. What else are they showing me? But I'm almost feeling, for some, not all, there is this element where a connection is no longer there. And it's already occurred and cycled out for this karmic. So these emotions that are coming up, they're trying to keep busy. They might be spending money. They've got concerns of work. The work could potentially be there, but their focus isn't on that. It's on the pain body experience of loss. But they're trying to put the brave face on. But at the same time, some of these very old techniques of coping with pain are coming up for them. And it's not that they're bad people. It's just coming up in a pain body experience. I knew court was going to come up. There also can be a court or a legal situation. And again, Libra is hitting their 12th house, and it is the house of imprisonment. So if there's any court-related documents, it could be divorces, it could be contracts to do with legal situations, and that is because 12th house can be the house of imprisonment. This can be coming up near the Capricorn eclipse. We also have the new moon in Cancer on the 20th, which is a blue moon, and it's going to be a secondary opportunity to turn over a new leaf. And for them, it is in their communication house. No, it's in their 9th house. Why did I say communication? Because Mercury is communication. There you go. Okay, so 9th house energy. 9th house energy is about travel. It's also about education. It's what they've learned. This can be community service. But whatever this frequency is, wherever they are, the way they're traveling, how they're pacing themselves through this, I feel at a spiritual level, they're also outgrowing some situations. They're not seeing the value in those situations anymore. This can be a karmic lesson being learnt. Yeah, there you go. Movement. I feel as though they're thinking if they move home and zone, it will change the dynamic and the energy, which it is quite spiritual to look at that. But sometimes it can be avoidance of a wound. What's been shown as two things. One, either they have acknowledged that it won't last, that this needs to be addressed, or B, the fact that they haven't acknowledged it, they're continuing on as is, and not knowing that this is a secondary opportunity. And again, I'm still feeling operating from Mars and Aries, which is hitting the 8th house, but it's trying to seek that energy of what is, who's going to work with them. I do feel they feel very alone at the moment, very burdened, and it is affecting their psychology. Yeah, certain people are moving away from them, which is actually grabbing onto that codependent frequency even firmer. Feels very exhausting. This can make for a very ugly mess. Let's look at the energy of romance, how they're looking at TF journey in awareness of, I think, some of them. Let me see what's coming through. They are trying to manifest. They do look at TF energy in general, masculine or feminine, whoever you are. They are looking at this like you are quite successful, ambitious. They do aspire to be that energy, and they're reflecting on these false starts. And it may be behavioural, so to speak. That's sort of what I'm picking. It feels like behavioural energy that's come up that has confused them. Scorpios are deeply intuitive. Scorpionic energy that has not developed their spiritual gifts. It can come from a very superstitious energy. Yeah, they're not grasping why it's not working, because it's pattern orientated over physical acceptance of situations and self-development. They may also be gossiping about the situation or hearing something through the grapevine and talking in relation to feminine or masculine. And there can be anger to do with finances. And again, with this contract here, it could be that they're actually wanting to take a person to court in relation to finances. Again, spending a lot of time maybe being very busy. Really looking at the 9th house placement. Some, if there's children directly involved in the karmic connection, maybe looking at that 9th house placement in Cancer with their family and wanting to move further away. Having issues with education. Looking at when I say distance energy, it's because of the 9th house placement. So if this is a vindictive energy and they're thinking about doing such, it's because A, they're running, and B, they're trying to manipulate a cause and effect in this situation. Yeah, they're really thinking that this is going to benefit them. Yeah, money. There you go. I feel because they haven't had the outcome that they wanted, it's made them really angry and they're moving away. And they're feeling as though some of them already have done this and they were waiting, thinking it would actually develop a outcome, but it hasn't. They thought it would work, but it hasn't. I just feel really stagnant, silent. They're very confused by this. They're perplexed. I feel in a way they're acknowledging the fact that this person has let go of them and they want freedom. I feel it's a conversation coming up. Let me see. I don't feel it's via... Oh, okay, yeah. I do believe This is in relation to a text message. Now this, I don't feel twin has actually directly contacted via throat chakra. I feel it's either through a grapevine of a third party energy that is a friend or a family member, where they're just, it's almost like this energy's been cut. And if this hasn't happened, this is what's moving forward. The way it's coming through is it had been a long time coming. I feel 3-4 months this had been gearing up. Where this is at and what's being shown to me is that the way TF is relating to this direct situation is very non-emotional. There may have been a third-party energy on Scorpio's side, even though they had their foot in this pie. And energies can swap, nevertheless. But very karmically speaking, I do feel this person has articulated the fact that they're not happy. They don't look at them that way. There's something to do with their mentality and maturity that they're making reference to. There also could be conversations about a child that is a female, if there's a child. But it's more the reference of inner child wounds and the demeanor energy. And what's been going on at home I'm being shown. Also, with this freedom energy, the person, they are aware that this energy of TF is actually returning back to their person. So there's reunion energy, and that they've gone back or wanting to, and it's been articulated to this person, or they've found out and they're in awareness of it. Now, the weird thing is, I do feel this person that was connected in to this energy was building, but it did feel to a degree, even though there is 8th house placement, which is a very karmic lesson, it's a development of that. It's not we initially find that, it's here, that's how it is. It's with that 8th house placement, we generally, for that portion of the time, and we do have quite a long energy with Chiron and Aries. So for Scorpio, it's developing that art, understanding the importance of it, working with individuals is very give-take energy. Births, deaths, legacies, but it's really the house where you have developed your self-esteem, and the 2nd house placement is there in Sagittarius, which will be occurring over the next 2.5 years for them. So that self-development in that energy for Scorpio, in a sense, is already being developed now with the new nodes. I'm really getting the message here that this person has come through and really attempted to work with the two of them, TF and this karmic, but I'm hearing it was a long time coming, and it's very cold in the way that they're expressing it, but it's not from a place of wishing to be nasty, of having to really create that very black and white, no shades grey. This is very much how it is. I'm no longer going to be here. And this 7 energy is self-worth vibration. And in a way, this individual who has left this situation or choosing to do so, even if they are already external well and truly and they're with twin or another energy, they're looking at this from a perspective of we reap what we sow. When we do the internal work, we have that self-worth value, and this person no longer can be in this because they have decided, they've been very clear, and I don't feel they're accepting this yet. So what you do need to understand is, yes, this is tying out. It's funny because I asked what TF needed to know, and we have the Death card. So maybe to understand and look at it from the perspective of the 8th house and the karmic lesson. If this has been delayed, you can actually look at it from your side of the fence and understand, move into this energy of 7, of self-worth energy. I do feel karmically this person is going to be developing that energy now, but also to allow that cycle to end and to focus on the development of give and take in that frequency to embody that. Also to allow this person to actually end that karmic cycle and make sure that they have articulated this very Virgo style. But I feel this has already happened. I'm going to leave it there. I will check in with you guys mid-month. If you are wanting to look at a soulmate twin flame read, I'm doing a mid-month read this month, and I will be live for all the twin flame updates. And if you do want me to tune into an ex, a karmic, via their astrology, I can channel your direct energy and it will move through you to me in the cards, and I can have a look at that. Love and light. I'll see you soon.